Listen, that sound, that wet smearing sound, that is the sound of a kingdom changing hands. Right now, in her own royal bedchamber, Queen Elara, the most just ruler this land has ever known, is being held down. A man's thumb, coated in his own saliva, is being pressed against her lips. Then, that same wet thumb is being forced onto parchment, and with that single glistening impression, this intimate, undeniable proof, she is signing away her throne, her freedom, her very self. When dawn breaks in 2 hours, she will have to stand before her entire nation and declare that the monster she personally imprisoned is now her king, her master, her legal owner. Every horror that follows, the sleepless nights standing guard like furniture, the public stripping, the golden leash being traded like currency, to knights and villagers. All of it traces back to this single moment, to a lip sprint taken by force in the dark. This isn't a rebellion, this is theft, personalized, intimate, and perfectly legal. Welcome to the reign of the lip sprint king. Before the lip sprint, there was justice. The kingdom of Athasia was renowned for two things: its abundant harvests and its beautiful young queen. Elara, while her aged husband, King Gareth, enjoyed hunting and feasts, Elara governed. She held court under the great oak every Tuesday, listening to shepherds, farmers, and merchants. Her rule was simple: no injustice, too small to matter. But in the castle's marble corridors, a different law operated. Enter Lord Vexus, the king's shadow, master of laws, a man whose smile never reached his eyes, and whose quill could make debts appear from thin air. His specialty was young women from indebted families. He'd fabricate a tax record, then offer a private settlement, their silence for their family's safety. He believed his system was flawless, untouchable. He forgot that justice has ears. A blacksmith's daughter named Lyra, her face bruised by a signet ring, bypassed every official. She slipped through the servants' tunnels and found Queen Elara alone in the rose garden at dusk. She fell to her knees and she whispered her truth. Queen Elara did not summon the guards. She went herself. She stormed into Vexus's private chambers during a meeting with 3 corrupt nobles. Before them all, with Lyra standing trembling behind her, Elara held up the forged tax documents. "Your laws are fiction," she said, her voice like frozen steel. And then she did what no one had ever dared. She struck the king's shadow with her bare palm. The sound echoed like a gunshot in the silent, opulent room. "You are a cancer in my kingdom," she declared. "And today, I cut you out." His trial was public. Elara presented each victim's testimony herself. Vexus was stripped of his titles, his wealth distributed to the families he'd ruined, and sentenced to 3 months in the obsidian dungeon, a sentence meant to erase him from history. As the guards dragged him from the courtroom, he didn't struggle, he didn't yell. He locked eyes with Queen Elara, and he smiled. A slow, patient, terrifying smile. It wasn't an expression of defeat. It was a promise. 3 months later, old King Gareth died in his sleep. Grief and the burden of soul rule consumed Elara. She slept little, trusting her people and her guards. She didn't know that Vexus, upon his release, had never left the castle grounds. He'd been hiding in the palace's forgotten arteries, secret passages known only to the masters of law for generations. He'd spent his imprisonment not in self-pity, but in planning and in forging a royal seal. On the coldest night of the year, he was a ghost from the wall. A cloth soaked in nightshade tincture covered her mouth and nose. Queen Elara fought fierce and wild, but the drug and his hatred were strong. On her own writing desk, he unrolled a single sheet of parchment. The document was a masterpiece of legal perversion. "By my own free will and hand, I, Queen Elara, hereby transfer all sovereignty of Athasia to Lord Vexus. My person, my throne, and my authority are now his property. This is my true voice and binding seal." Then came the violation that made it undeniable. He brought his thumb to his mouth, coating it thickly with his own saliva. He pried her drugged lips apart, and he pressed his wet thumb firmly, deliberately, against her mouth. Then, immediately, while still glistening, he pressed that same thumb into a pool of black sealing wax on the parchment. Right below the text, a perfect lips print. Not a fingerprint, a lips print. Intimate, invasive, undeniable. Beside it, he stamped the forged royal seal. Biometric proof, personalized, humiliating. Legally perfect. As her consciousness faded, he leaned close, his whisper dripping with venom. Your justice ended with a slap, my queen. Mine begins with your own lips. Part 2 will come soon. Till then, enjoy the rest of the videos from the channel, and please subscribe if you like the video.